In this simulation video, we'll go over the process to install the Midspan strapping for an Evolution steel-framed deck. The Midspan strapping pairs with the other on-center spaced components in the Evolution product line, such as the on-center spaced ledger, beam blocking, and rim joist. Before we get started, here's a list of the recommended tools and safety equipment you'll want to have on hand when working with our Evolution steel framing product. Know that all posts must be temporarily braced until fully stabilized and permanently connected with framing or other structural members. For deck frames, this means that all beams, joists, hangers, and any blocking that shores up the structure should be in place before the bracing can be removed. In short, the deck frame should be fully assembled and secured first before bracing is removed from the assembly. Any deck that has a span that is greater than 8 feet or 2,348 millimeters will require blocking at the midspan. The span is defined as the distance of the joist from the ledger out to the supporting member or beam in this image. The Evolution midspan strap can serve the purpose of blocking at the midpoint for any of the joists that are utilizing the same sized on-center components. There are two ways possible to install the midspan strap: installing the strapping on the underside of the deck or the top side of the deck. Note that installing strapping from the underside of the deck is the preferred and recommended method for installing the midspan strapping in general. Installing on the top side should only be performed in instances where the deck is so close to the ground that it's impossible to install from the underside. So let's first take a look at the preferred method of installing the midspan strap from the underside of the deck. To get started installing the strapping on the underside of a deck, once you have identified the midpoint of the deck, take the strapping and match the pre-cut slots for on-center spacing with the joists. Then attach the strapping to the joist with 5 Evolution self-tapping screws, filling each of the pre-punched holes. Repeat this process from one end of the deck to the other. Note, there might be times where the midspan strapping needs to be cut. For instance, here at the end of this run of strapping, the last piece continues out past this end of the deck. To cut the midspan strapping, mark it with a pencil or silver marker. Then, using a pair of metal snips or another metal cutting device, such as a metal cutting saw, cut along the marked line. Note that this will leave a bare metal edge that will need to be coated with Evolution touch-up paint. Please see our Evolution General Product Cutting Process video for more details on cutting the product, or refer to the Evolution Instruction Manual available online for information such as the required coats of touch-up paint. Once this final piece of midspan strapping has been trimmed and prepped, it can be installed, which will complete the process of how to install the product on the underside of a deck. Now let's continue on from this point by briefly looking at the topside installation method. For the topside installation method, follow the same process that was shown for the underside installation with one major exception. The topside method will not use fasteners. It will be utilizing the top decking material to sandwich the strapping in place. This is why it should only be utilized in cases where the underside of the frame is inaccessible, which would prevent the strapping from being installed from that side with fasteners. To begin installing the strapping on the top side, start by placing a strap onto the last on-center span of joists. This will leave the edge area of the deck that typically needs a custom cut to deal with any railing post blocking or picture framing. Know that you can cut the midspan strapping not only across, but in other unique shapes, such as an additional slot for the added joist shown here. Just like before when cutting with the underside strapping, any rough edges will need to be filed or sanded. The piece will then need to be wiped, and then coated with Evolution touch-up paint before being installed. This same process should be followed to fill out the rest of the midspan of the deck. As mentioned several times already in this video, since topside installation uses no fasteners, try to only use this method when strapping can't be installed from the underside. Once the midspan strapping and any other blocking has been installed on the deck, the decking material can be added to lock this midspan blocking in place. And this is how you can utilize this product to block at the midspan. Anytime there will be a span greater than 8 feet or 2,438 millimeters. For more information on our steel deck framing products, including where to buy, stop by our website at fortressbp.com/framing. And don't forget to check out our other Evolution steel framing videos as we continue to help our customers steal the show.